This is Abnormal Entertainment.
I am a real American, fight for the rights of every man. I am a real American, fight for what's right, fight for your life.
You're listening to the No Cry Zone, a progressive political podcast on the Abnormal Entertainment Network.
All right, we are recording.
Oh, we're recording now? Oh.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, hold on.
Hold on.
Hold on, I have to deign to be alive in this freaking snowstorm. Welcome to the No Cry Zone, broadcasting live from a shithole county in a shithole state, the shithole country, surrounded by other shithole countries. Since hashtag shithole, 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 that's all I've seen for days, shithole.
Yeah, and the shithole leader.
Well, yeah, oh, there's that.
Yeah. And it's if nothing else, it's been fun and interesting to watch various newscasters dance around the word shithole. Some are just like going right into it, just shithole. I mean, you know, Anderson Cooper.
And then once after that, like all of the slurs come out, the oyster eaters and the mackerels and what I heard some really weird ones.
Oyster.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what? The dictionary? What? What's going on?
Wow. Yeah. You have to go to the Third World Dictionary to figure this out.
Yeah.
What is an oyster eater?
It was an Italian guy, and I believe the term was a mackerel eater. And there was one other oyster reference to somebody else that showed up on the East Coast, and they had to eat the oysters because they weren't allowed to be in society, and now they run society. And look at us.
Right, because Paul Ryan, we got to hear from Paul Ryan and about his family struggle.
Yeah.
There's Irish, ancestors who came here and worked the railroads and suffered, which is true.
That struggle's flipping real. But he has no concept.
The Irish were definitely treated like shit, like every other group that's come here.
He just doesn't have a clue, though.
Yeah, no, not a clue whatsoever. And I love his, when pretty much. Now, I think you're beginning to see more mainstream elements that are now pretty damn comfortable just calling it what it is that this president is racist. It's really not having any problem with it. Because before people danced around it a little bit, well, that's a racist statement, but, I don't want to say he's a racist or whatever. Now, people are, it's filtering down into more of the middle.
Well, it's built, too. They're just instance after instance after instance, and there's only so many dances you can do. We're the freaking crazy chicken dance. What's it called? The chicken dance, that stupid wedding dance.
Yeah,
that's where we're at, dancing around them. Like, well, he's not a racist. Yes, he is. We're done. We started with the tap dance and then the tango around it, and we are straight up.
Right, and to his defenders, this is the thing, and I had this conversation on Facebook today with somebody. It was private messaging back and forth with somebody, and there was a defender, and they were touting all the economic news that came out this week. Walmart's going to be paying $11 an hour thing, and Fiat Chrysler's moving jobs back to Michigan from Mexico because of the tax bill that was signed. Toyota's going to be building a plant here in Alabama. And so all this, the stock market just through the roof, and all this great economic news, and this just shows how great. And I'm like, okay, but look at the news today. All right, what are we? We're talking about shitholes. Okay, so even when and putting aside the fact that if you want to talk about this so-called economic news that they're touting, like. There's an answer to all of this in certain ways, but let's put that to the side for a minute.
That's going to crash in a bit. We'll get to that in a second.
Right, we'll get to that later. But just as any administration, your guy can't, he absolutely undermines his own message and your party's own message, talking to Republicans. He is, and the fact that they can't acknowledge that this guy is the worst thing that's ever happened to them, and that even when they have something that they should seemingly be able to tout and point to and jump up and down about, it's completely obliterated in the news cycle. And then, of course, they want to blame the media.
Right.
It's our fault
it's
that
his
he
fault.
called them shitholes.
Right. Well, if you didn't portray Haiti as such a shithole, then he never would have thought of it.
Yeah.
What?
He saw it on Fox. It must be a shithole.
You know, those third world countries like Puerto Rico. You know, like,
Thank God that's not part of the United States.
this guy.
He's special.
All to cover up. I actually think that the drop of the prostitute payment is actually a leak. All to cover up the Feinstein.
I haven't heard that.
The Feinstein leak of
The
this,
transcript,
the transcript, and thank you for that, sharing that link to that Seth Aberson guy. 190 some odd tweets, kind of really going through it all for you. You can do it. What did he say? It was like
Three
three
on the site, on the
Yeah,
page.
I haven't, but I will. It was I put it on my Twitter page.
but anyway, it goes through, and it basically that is the information that is being squelched this week.
Right.
And that is damning information. It should have been World War II end size headlines.
Right.
That
No, that's a good point.
every single Republican who is saying this narrative of the Democrats did it knows the Democrats did not do it, and knows other things that are completely damning to their own party, so they can only continue the charade.
Right. Well, you're talking about Seth Abramson?
Seth Abramson.
So Seth Abramson broke it down, the release of the GPS transcript.
Right. Fusion GPS.
Fusion GPS, thank you.
Simpsons. Got Simpsons.
And he, through tweet style, he kind of broke down everything in the transcript. I mean, because it's several hours long, so... I mean, yeah, you could read it, but he does a pretty good job of breaking that down. And like you said, Rob, really just highlighting, like, okay, this is what he's saying, and this is... compare that to what has been said, and they
Right.
they're completely at odds with one another.
Yeah.
How it's been portrayed and how what he really said, here it is. And the fact that, Feinstein, whatever you want to say, I think very brave to do what she did, but right at the beginning of that, right at the very top of that transcript, they said this is a non-classified hearing.
Right.
So all the people that are like, "Oh, she broke the law, she's a traitor," no, she didn't.
And that was all.
she didn't.
So Simpson, that was negotiated with the lawyers.
And he wanted
lawyers-
it released,
yeah, the
too.
lawyers wanted it released.
He wanted his own, because he saw day after day the Republicans mischaracterizing his own testimony, trying to flip it around against what he had actually said. And the biggest thing to come out of all of this was the fact that the FBI had somebody inside the Trump campaign already informing on them well before Steele came on their radar screen.
Yeah.
So now you're saying it's squelched.
Yeah. The whole story.
Yeah,
And now we're talking shithole.
Sort of. Okay, so how do us Americans consume information? Do we do it in little bits, or do we have great big presentations? It depends on what it is. Shithole is a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a tiny little bit that's building into the racist mountain. The Feinstein release of this has to be presented in a broader context.
Yeah.
So I think that this is going to sit and fester and get under people's skin until Mueller has everything put together and until essentially Ken Burns makes a fucking documentary about it. No one's going to pay attention to it.
Well, and that is kind of my point, though, David, is that there is only so much that an American will consume. I mean, it's minutes for some, and if the whole cycle is always saying racist or always saying the salacious thing of the day, like today was prostitute, and I remember a few days ago it was another thing about a pastor and a young child, and it's these gotcha moments that I think we can actually plot that their side of the aisle does not care about. They do not believe when it is said, and when it is said, that only intensifies their hatred of any idea on our side.
So the point is, it's a moot point.
Somewhat.
So why even bother release it?
Yeah.
So that was and the Feinstein thing is, it's good that it's out there and now it's part of the narrative.
Right.
Because it's part of the narrative for people who are building the narrative.
And it's not squelched; it's moved off the front page. So
it's going to be part of something.
Which is, well, I agree with you though that it was.
We kind of
the news conference is going to be. What was your reaction, Senator, to President Trump's bad words in the meeting? Instead of Senator, did you understand the ramifications of this release from the Feinstein? This takes the narrative off the table.
Well, you're just
that's the different questions that could have been posed in one day.
But the day doesn't matter.
True.
You know, the day is immaterial. We just want it out now and people know. And that's something that I completely empathize with. I want people to know about it, but I also realize that we have to present this as a story. It has to be told in a narrative that people can digest, because that's what they deal with now.
Yes, but it also needs that same World War II end size headline of Republican narratives is in jeopardy.
Right, but it has to do that with everything else. If we do it bits and pieces, like this, so Feinstein releases this, that guy just lied to Congress, screw him. And it's over.
Right.
If it's part of the bigger narrative, then it doesn't get shut down like that. Shithole. Now, I appreciate Shithole, because what Shithole and things like Shithole does, it keeps this guy's asshattery in the lead. We can never forget how big of a douchebag he is, no matter how normal these things become. So as the narrative builds, the important stuff builds, the little stuff keeps piling on and keep reminding us that build the narrative.
Yeah, that is true. If he could go like 2 or 3 days without being a complete asshat, people are like rooting for him. Like, he's on his way.
Right.
Okay, good.
He's very presidential today.
Man.
He's very presidential today.
Oh, days. They're like looking at the clock. Oh, day's almost over. Almost. Tweet. Ah, shit!
And that's the best part. That's why I don't think there's this giant conspiracy, because what it does is it's like, you know, we're little by little tweeting and Facebooking and soundbiting, collecting all our hatred of this guy, and he's getting more people turned against him daily, worldwide and in the United States, just by being an asshole.
Yeah, true.
While the big stuff is dropped, and they try and brush it away, but it can't go away. Nothing goes away. The energy does not dissipate. It just changes into something else. And this energy is changing into the overall narrative.
Well, and look at the context in which he made the shithole comment. It was in this meeting where they were talking about immigration and DACA, and of course, his precondition for all this is the wall. The wall, the wall, the wall, the wall, the wall. And Democrats are like, no. You're not getting your fucking wall. You're just not getting it. And you already saw it prior to the shithole comment, but in the midst of these negotiations, they're already backing off the wall. I mean, they're already backing off. They'll call it a wall, but we already know it's going to be, if there's anything, and it's a big if with this guy,
right,
it'll be a fence. And it won't be the whole thing, it'll be a section and all the rest. So his wall, his major thing that most of his die-hard inbred supporters, sorry, but come on now, are just adamant about is the fucking wall, okay? The wall. Oh, he said he was going to build a wall. And he's not building a wall. And the thing is, the minute he talked about the wall, long before he was ever elected president, you just knew there's not going to be any fucking wall.
No.
We are not building We're not building a wall.
Then we really knew it when he said Mexico's going to pay for it.
Well, exactly.
And
he's still saying it.
So that's when I see during the campaigns, and I knew that this guy was a complete and utter joke. Right when he said that, the fact that other people didn't is because they desperately wanted to believe it.
Right.
It's magical thinking.
It couldn't have said it better than that. It is magical thinking. It defies all verifiable logic and fact, but it's just magical thinking. I just want it to happen because I want it to happen. I want a magical wall to appear overnight, and frankly, I think that's how they thought it would be.
And helicoptered in, right. And just laid in there.
Right.
Like if the ancient Chinese had helicopters, the Great Wall of China would be taller.
Well, yeah.
Duh. Because you could just drop in sections.
Yeah.
You know, meanwhile, the Chinese have solar-powered freeways.
Right.
Okay.
Charging their cars as they drive. We can't even get the... I couldn't drive up a hill today.
We can't get a train to go over 50 miles an hour around a curve. Okay? And it goes off the...
Oh, too soon.
You know?
Yeah.
Too soon.
Sorry. Wow. Tough ground. But, so we've
I've
lost...
been on one of those Amtraks. I was thinking about that shit.
As well
I
you
wonder
should.
was the last time these tracks got
Well,
played.
as well you should. Because you think about...
When Paul Ryan's great-grandfather worked on it.
I'm getting off at the next stop. No. No, that's that. No. So, but yeah, and with this comment... You mean you had the UN High Commissioner on Refugees today? Okay, he just out and out said the president is a racist. Okay,
Yep.
I mean you've got international leaders now, just not even a matter of being comfortable, but just not denying the obvious. Is
Right.
what it really is. The president of the United States is a racist. He is a bigot.
The cool part is about these little things that have been building over and over again. Now they're not afraid. Before, they would be terrified to speak out against the president of the United States. Because there would be maybe some horrible backdoor ramifications going on. This guy is a tiger with no teeth.
Yeah,
Internationally, domestically, he's like my dog ripping up tissue paper for no apparent reason and then strewing it all over the place, eating the tampons, throwing them up. This is a horrible domestic dog. Internationally, there's nothing going on.
But the dog that you speak of always has one trick that will, make you forgive him or whatever. He does. That dog does.
I hate that dog. I can't stand that dog. The others like that dog because she's so cute. Look at that face.
But
Yeah,
you're the one
I wanna
that feeds
punch
the
that.
dog
I
and
feed
cleans
the dog.
the
I let
shit.
the dog out.
Yeah, okay.
I get the this is the gross alert. This is the dog that barfed up the tampon on my foot. It was horrifying.
Sorry,
I think you have.
It was too soon.
I think you have a Trump dog in your house, and you actually have Trump dog supporters.
I
David.
do. I have Trump dog supporters. They're the Cloettes. The dog's name is Chloe. They're the Cloettes. The dog can absolutely do no wrong. The dog gets on the couch. The dog gets on the bed. The dog smells like crap. Smells like a hound dog. But where does she lay? She lays on my pillow.
Yeah.
She lays on my blanket.
Of course she does.
If I work for 14 hours, I want to sit on the couch.
Do you have Trump dog? Symptoms of Trump dog include
I have Trump dog.
vomited tampons on your feet.
I have Trump dog. I have Trump dog and a bunch of Chloe Stillskins.
Have you seen how many of those bears are selling? You should just get a toilet paper that comes out as the American flag that comes out of that dog.
Oh God!
And
Legit bad. It's the most patriotic dog ever.
Oh, wow.
well, have you guys seen the bear? The Trump bear?
No,
Oh my
no.
God! Go watch the Trump bear right now. Oh, little bear, out its ass comes an American flag. I kid you not.
Is it a thing for sale?
And it's for sale. I'm sure the taxpayer dollar pays for the ad somehow or another. And it's certainly all going to the re-election campaign for Donald Trump, MAGA. That's it. But anyway, they have the strangest. You would love the commercial, David. The biker coming up with this little teddy bear, but it's got the flag waving.
A storm is coming. You cannot defeat the storm. From the trees rose a resounding voice. I fear nothing. I come when the trumpet sounds. I am the storm, the great American grizzly. Introducing the original Trumpy Bear, the fearless, super plush American grizzly. Trumpy Bear was born June 14th, Flag Day. Just find the secret zipper and pull out the flag blanket. Then wrap yourself in the red, white, and blue for comfort and warmth. Show your patriotism and proudly display Trumpy on Flag Day and on any American holiday. Trumpy can even honor your own family heroes.
God bless America, and God bless Trumpy Bear.
Trumpy Bear sits proudly at the front of the motorcycle for all the world to see and loves to cruise with his brother.
I'm a former Marine, and I'm proud to have Trumpy Bear ride by my side. Once a Marine, always a Marine.
Everyone knows Trumpy Bear loves
This
to
has
go
to be
the golf
fake.
course.
When I ride with Trumpy Bear,
I was
it makes my
laughing
golf
so
game
hard
great
that I
again.
did not
Thank you,
check
Trumpy
into
Bear.
it.
Simply
It's
style
worth
his
it.
If
trademark
this isn't
hair
fake,
and place him
then
in
it's
his
made by people who hate Trump
toughest
to make a
guys.
bunch of money.
Trumpy
Yeah.
Bear.
And that's what I'm
good.
saying.
Business is great.
You have a Trumpy
Business is
dog.
great. I'm great. I love you, Trumpy Bear.
I am an Army veteran. I am proud to own the Trumpy Bear, and I will always be proud to be an American.
Wait, we gotta get to the end to see the stick, because I didn't make it either.
That guy's name was Colonel Frank Warholic.
Warholic.
Okay, well, maybe I just passed along some fake news.
Rob was just passing the fake news that is amusing.
But it was
Colonel
nice.
Frank Warholic.
My point was just for dating it back, not for you to go out and buy one, but that you could go out and get a toilet paper spitting dog, as long as it's American flag
in
dog.
Trumpy Bear's defense, it's not toilet paper. It's a flag.
Trumpy Bear's different. I wouldn't want to step on Trumpy Bear's toes.
To wrap yourself in the good old red, white, and blue while you're watching those dirty, good-for-nothing millionaire athletes take a knee.
Oh, this is the place. So
Anyway, well, that was a nice little comedic break. If nothing else.
I'm Colonel Frank Warholic.
Just to give you that little bonus.
Okay.
Are they advertising on C-SPAN? Because that would be awesome.
I cannot recall my source of it.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway.
I want Trumpy Bear.
Now I want a Trumpy Bear. You're right. So, back to our standing on the world stage. So we also learned today that the president will not be going to Britain to dedicate the new embassy because it was a shitty deal.
Bad deal.
Bad deal from Obama, even though it originated in the George W. Bush administration. That he sold the embassy there for pennies on the dollar, and it was a terrible deal, and the one they bought is in a crappy part of town. I heard an interview today on NPR. They were talking with somebody in London. They said the part of town where the American embassy has now been relocated to was a former industrial area that's up and coming. It's been designated as like a renovation zone in London, and in fact the U.S. was actually kind of smart because they bought land there knowing that renovations were coming and that it was relatively cheap. And now that area is going to be, and a lot based on the fact that the U.S. Embassy is moving there, but it's going to help bring that area up. And so it was actually a very smart real estate transaction. You buy land when it's priced low and you know it's going to go up in value.
Wait, no, that's not how real estate moguls do it.
Oh.
What they do is they buy things and then lose their shit on them.
Right.
And then they license stakes.
And then they make deals with Russian oligarchs.
then they get a reality show and all's well.
Right.
So if Obama just had a reality show, he'd be a success.
Right. And so, I guess that somebody took a Trump cutout or some sort of likeness of him, and I guess they put it near where the embassy's going to be built or wherever it is. And I guess Londoners now, it's trending. They're taking their picture with this Trump thing. They're laughing the fact, they're just, one of the people on Twitter to Trump's announcement that he wasn't going because his disapproval of this deal, and somebody from England said, that's all right, mate, we'll catch up with you maybe when you're less racist.
Well, hasn't his invite been rescinded?
Not officially. But he was facing, he was going to face large public protests.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of elected officials, including the mayor of London, a man named Siddiqui Khan, who was going to be like, I ain't going to be around to greet you, fuck you.
Yeah.
Right. That's our president. I mean, you got the UN High Commissioner saying your president's a racist. You've got the mayor of London and London in general saying, thank God this asshole's not coming here. We don't want him.
Right. You have the leader of every country he called a shithole.
Yeah.
There's one entire continent, so all of Africa. Haiti, El Salvador.
Yeah.
Why can't people from Norway be becoming Norwegians?
Sure.
Is something he said. And then remember when he first got elected, the Norwegians opened up a town for Americans to expat to. Because, hey, come work for us. Be valued.
And 10,000 have already gone, and only 600 have come from Norway to here.
Yeah, why would you leave Norway?
Yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, weather, but that's what
Yeah. Well, and now especially that you're going to be safe because the president has sold you those F-52s.
Yeah.
If they work.
So, which don't exist except
keep the receipt.
Call of Duty.
That's right.
So you're like, oh my God. You just wonder now if the countries are like, oh my God, this guy's such a fucking idiot. Like the Chinese are going to be like, let's sell him the Tesseract.
Well, here's
You know,
Red Skull has one. If Red Skull's got one, I need one.
exactly. just scam this guy.
It would be the best. You know, Lex Luthor has his headquarters in the swamp. You should move. I should move. Lex Luthor's in the swamp. I should be in the swamp.
The best suggestion I've seen, though, is somebody should just tell Trump that Obama can hold his breath for 10 minutes.
You know what Obama did? He licked his own elbow, and he didn't stop until he could do it. 4.7 years later,
You know,
he's still
damn it! But the point is, our president is a laughingstock. I mean, in putting aside that he's a racist, putting aside that he's infuriating, he's a laughingstock, and so
we elected Archie Bunker.
Not even Archie Bunker had some compassion.
Every
For
once in a
Edith.
while. And for Meathead could get through to Archie every once in a while.
Yeah.
You know.
So Meathead had to present him with incontrovertible proof that was later shrilly backed up by his daughter. So it wasn't, I don't think Meathead convincing him, it was the please shut up Gloria that convinced him.
Well, no, I always thought the narrative to that was Archie always taught himself, which is what we always have to do.
Right.
You can never,
Right.
I mean, really, you can't teach anybody anything.
No, you
You're
know-
an educator.
No. You know
they're there
who
to learn from you and take from you if they want. But
Trump is more
you can't
like
teach 'em.
Trump is more like George Jefferson. Okay, loud, bombastic, self-promoting. He's always right.
Jefferson's George Jefferson, not All in the Family George Jefferson.
Ooh, that is it.
Well,
Because once they left,
the spin-off one.
Once they left, he
Yeah.
kind of bunkered out.
Yeah,
He was
yeah,
going
that-
for it.
yeah. I guess that's the one I'm really thinking of.
Yeah,
yes.
but they were on All in the Family.
Yeah, they were. That's where it spun off from. But yeah, and you're right. But once Sherman Hemsley picked up the role, I thought that would be more of a. If you're going to use All in the Family, that'd be more of your.
That would
Trump.
be so offensive to him that you just compared him to Sherman Helmsley because of his small hands and height and nothing to do with his blackness.
Well, no. Wait, he's black?
What?
Oh,
No one named Sherman is black.
Oh God, wouldn't that be awesome if one day like Trump's DNA came out and that's why he's hiding all his medical records as he is actually. You know how they do that is like
Yes.
they go and teach you what tribe you really came from. We're
Well,
all
yeah,
from the same
Adolf
damn
Hitler's
place.
Judaism.
Yeah.
With this, so he comes back, and then Trump is actually he's the weird combination. He's the ultra white version, and it only happens with Haitian El Salvadorians and Zimbabwe.
Oh no! It would only be if somehow he could have relatives from Kenya. That would
so
truly be because him and
If
his
he
birth.
had an incredibly even paler half brother from Kenya,
Well,
that would be the most awesome thing. Because
Even
he's
paler.
I don't know how it works.
No,
It's got to go some way.
Yeah.
it kind of goes to the who smelt it.
Smelt it, dealt it?
Yeah, he who smelt it,
Smelt
dealt it.
it, dealt it.
Is that there are these stories that his father, was kicked out of his own country basically, and there's got to be more stories to that. Maybe his father was very racist there too, and if Alice Jones can do it, I can extrapolate all these different
Well,
things.
Bergen
too.
just smelt it, dealt it. That
Yeah.
would make him Obama's midwife.
know,
he was there.
And that's why the whole
In
family has been
Kenya.
racist. is they have their part black, and they've been hiding it in their family ever since. And this is a deep, dark secret.
And they can't tell Jared.
that they
There's no
can't get
bail.
into the real elite clubs because they have this secret.
If that existed, Steve Bannon
and
would
the
already
Illuminati.
Wait.
Oh,
Just
God.
in,
Real news. I
just
don't have
in.
to continue talking.
Walmart has announced that they will be laying off more than 1,000 employees from their corporate headquarters.
to pay for the $11 an hour for the one store in Puxatony.
Well, there's-
So I saw this thing.
that's what they all think. Is Carrier did the same thing. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, welcome to
I saw an interview with a
One
carrier
headline.
worker losing her job, and she says, "I've been duped. I voted for President Trump because he said he would save my job. My job is going away. I've been duped." And I wanted to correct her and said, "No, you haven't been duped. You voted for the guy despite
Yep.
how incredibly racist he was.
That is a good distinction, absolutely.
You looked at all that stuff to absolutely vote in your own best self-interest. You, my dear, have been backstabbed.
Yeah.
That's the
And
real term.
that is a real difference, and that's a good point to make that distinction. Yeah, I guess the head of the union there, Chuck Jones, who did great cartoon work, by the way.
Donnie Warholic.
Basically said Trump is a con man, idiot, and liar.
Yes.
But the distinction you just made is so important. You weren't
They didn't
duped.
fool you.
You weren't duped.
But
you
went
were
to-
stabbed in the back.
you
Because
went to my
They would have been more. Oh, God, just hold on. They were more than happy to overlook all of the racist bullshit if he would have saved their
And
job.
the pee-pee touching and the
All of it, they don't care. And if their jobs have been saved, they would be praising Trump right now. Which, okay, it's understand. I'm not saying I get it, but you're right. Don't say you were duped.
If you're a single issue
Bullshit.
voter, that's the only single issue I can actually see myself voting for.
Unknown caller.
See, that's Trump. But see, that's my thing, though, right there. You're comparing apples to oranges. Because he's racist doesn't mean he can't make good business deals.
No, that's
he's
right.
a bad business
He's
person.
also a bad businessman.
And
yeah.
that's the story that should be out right now about Carrier, about all these other ones, is, hey, why were you people thinking after this record he would do anything different? Just like they did with Romney. That's all they had on Romney was his business record. So they brought that out all the time.
Magical thinking.
Yeah, and that is my big point, though, is like right now is like we're trying to bring out these moral issues to people who are almost amoral or certainly not going to jump on the bandwagon that they've been fighting for the last 10 years.
Right. So here's the thing. Well, we talk about, like, you see, like, there's this Maslow's hierarchy of needs and things, and once people's lower needs are met, their higher needs are met. The lower needs aren't met.
Yeah.
So there's been a narrative of this huge bad economy. We had a really horrible economy. It improved somewhat. I see a slump coming again through different factors, but there hasn't been no one's felt safe. So what he did, same thing Jim Jones did.
Right, yeah.
In Jonestown, he went and he caught all the people on drugs and all the junkies. I'm not saying the people that work at Carrier are junkies or on drugs or starving or homeless.
But you're not saying they're not either.
They're
Anyway,
soon
go
to
on.
be. But Jim Jones, what he did was he provided those base needs. I gave you food, shelter, and purpose. What Trump did is he walked out and he said, the guy that's running for president, one of these two people is going to lead your country. And he said he's saving your job personally. Yeah. If you can't believe that, there's an issue. Of course, we all saw the issue, but they couldn't afford to see the issue because if they didn't see that, if they didn't have that magical thinking to get them across there, then the alternative was, what's left for me? So I can see where the connections are made and the self-preservation is, and I know how incredibly difficult it is to have a moral high ground when you're faced with, the hungry family. Mm-hmm. So, they're caught in a conundrum, but we have to remember, now is the time, since he did lie, and we all knew he was lying, except for the people he lied to, that,
who were willfully ignorant.
They were, but again, I can see why.
Yeah.
They just have to realize that they were.
Exactly.
And now we can change it. We can help. Everyone can help. We can change things.
Right.
And many are willfully ignorant, and many on our side. And when I say amoral, I mean to the morals of, the moral high ground that you speak of. That we may be able to establish those that others don't, and they don't bring them to that same table.
No.
They're worried about other things.
Right.
No.
You know what I mean? So
I think the one thing that's going to kill us as liberals and progressives is a vast majority of liberals and progressives are looking for the perfect candidate, and there's no such thing.
Exactly.
And we are. What do you always say it, John? Don't make the good the enemy of the perfect. Or don't make the perfect.
You cannot make the perfect the enemy of the good.
Mm-hmm. And
good is just good.
That's the only thing that gives me pause is that we're all looking for Superman, but we're not willing to take Aquaman because he's weird.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, right. But so if exactly, I mean, you already see, and I don't want to go down a different trail, but so talking about the perfect candidate. So there was some stuff that earlier this week where some of the hardcore Bernie bros were going after Kamala Harris, who's a potential, and whether she has a shot at her, I don't know. Who the hell knows?
I like Tammy Duck.
I have no idea.
Tammy Duckworth is
did you
someone
see
I
the
think
list
is
though from the
really
Vegas odds makers?
Oh,
It was a strange
Hold on.
list.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. You're being taped live on the air here.
On the air
on the No Cry Zone. Who is this? Who is this?
It's Emily.
Emily who?
Archie, can you please?
Who's what?
Important. Stop.
Oh, okay, yes.
I guess we'll see how.
I guess we'll wait.
Yeah. Now it's important.
Yeah, we're stopping the show and everything. She sounded she had some distress.
Okay, I took it off speaker because I wasn't sure what you were going to say, so I just had to make sure. So you want me to come get you at 7 and not at 6:30?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that works out really well.
Yeah, that works out. Okay.
It's going to take like an hour to get there.
It's going to take an hour to get there, so I'm leaving now.
Okay.
All right. I'll have a burrito. Thank you. Goodbye. All right. Anyway.
Where are you going?
Wait, take me easy.
Sorry. She works at 7-Eleven.
Oh, you can eat it? No.
That was the joke.
Oh, okay.
That was the joke.
Because we need you for the next show.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee.
No, you know what? I'm like, that's my way out.
Did her 7-Eleven get raided?
No, no, it did not.
Raided? What's going on with the 7-Elevens and the raiding? The government's after us.
They are.
Yeah.
Well, no, now you're right. You were wrong before. Now you're right.
I'm
Yeah, so it
always
was ICE descended on 7-Elevens across the country and looking for illegal workers, which they did find quite a few.
Right. Well, so that was one thing that I didn't mind about Trump when he said it. He said he's going to crack down on people who employ illegal immigrants, which I've been saying living in Arizona for so long that's the issue. That's the problem. It's the employers. If there were no jobs, no one would flood over and try and take those jobs. But he's not cracking down on the people he should.
Right.
Which is largely the construction companies.
Right.
Asset allocation. I mean, it's a problem. We have X amount of dollars that we're willing to put at this problem. What are the best solutions to reduce the problem in the ways that you want it to be reduced? It's not an unsurmountable problem if you look at it like that. It's just that we all get into this fending for our own ground that has been fended for centuries. But if you kind of go back in the history, they've all wanted the same damn thing. They want, strong force down there. They don't want a free-flowing border. They want to be able to know where the stuff is coming in and going out.
Right.
And I think that's not too much to ask. And I think if you brought it to the table in that fashion, Democrat, Republican, you could get any goddamn thing you wanted done, including the employers, including,
And large, but see now, it's what has been going on down there is, and I haven't lived there in full disclosure, I haven't lived there in about 7 years, but I lived there for a decade. And the issue on the border is everyone, the right wants to make this a huge fear thing. A fear of the other thing.
Right.
So they need salacious headlines. They need people pouring in. They need to tell you that your jobs are being stolen. The left, which is largely non-existent in Arizona, says it's not that bad. And it's really not that bad.
That's why I was thinking Arpaio is running. It's just for the headlines. I don't really think that he has the support. I was going to ask you when you got here about Arpaio. It seemed like that was who shunned him out was Arizona.
Yes.
And he really doesn't have the support, so why run him other than the headlines? Because Clark isn't in the news anymore. His book went and gone and nobody cared. You could put Arpaio back in the limelight and get those headlines again. You know?
But they're not headlines they want. So
it's about the other. It's about, hey, they're coming to get us. They're,
See, but he's not a headline they want. And this is short-sighted, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of like, Liddy after Watergate. Good soldier. We'll get with him later on. But right now you're a little toxic, and he's incredibly toxic because we're seeing.
He didn't get any less toxic.
Yeah,
no, he didn't. And now it's a show. Now it's a dog and pony show, which it was. So I think that the left that is slowly they made some inround there. Jeff Flake is actually he's McCain. McCain or Flake are the senators. One of the two is the senator of Orfina. I think it's McCain. McCain would be our senator. He's leaving too, in one way or sad to say.
Well,
but
we'll see.
He's like Dick Cheney. He's getting parts replaced, harvesting organs from illegals. I think Dick Cheney's got a Jarvis.
But even with your McCain's or Jeff Flake, and again, I have no use for these Republicans who seemingly oppose Trump but don't really oppose him. They say things, but then they don't really actively oppose.
Flake is an opposition.
Yeah, but to say to say what he said about Trump, and that he's basically is antithetical to our constitutional system, and then by the way I'm retiring. In other words, just to at the same moment drain away all your political capital. What's the point? Now he may emerge as a spoiler candidate. I mean, he's been approached, or at least they've asked him about it, and he has not ruled it out that he could run as a Republican against Trump. He wouldn't win, of course, and he knows that, but it would be as a spoiler to try and split Republican votes and make sure that he doesn't win in 2020. But
that's true.
But
you think that's
I just, especially after what we hear yesterday with Shithole, when you have confirmation, and again, we already had confirmation. That's the thing. This is just the latest, like David was saying. This is the latest on top of the latest on top of the latest. I mean, come on. The guy is a racist, and he is a liar, and he's a sociopath by every objective standard that you can apply to his behavior that is observable. Why is anyone cooperating with this agenda? Any part of it. That's why the resistance is more than just a hashtag. Right. It really should be a resistance. It's, the resistance is to the whole thing, part and parcel. This entire administration and its goals must be resisted. So you can't, on the one hand, I think, say, yeah, okay, he's a racist buffoon, but, GDP is going to be 4% this year. Yay! Okay, great. We're selling our country's soul and character for a few gold coins. Mm-hmm. Here's your gold coins.
That's why. Yay! That's why I'm liking the everyday something new. Add to the pile. Does it feel like it's becoming normal? Yes. And the fact that it feels like it's becoming normal is terrifying. And that's motivating people. But while this is happening, the big stuff is building into the narrative. So when you're faced with the little stuff and then the big narrative, finally when the narrative comes out, because it will, everything comes out eventually. There's not a conspiracy alive that can, keep itself together long enough with enough scrutiny. And there's plenty of scrutiny. There's international scrutiny on this one. It's just, sooner or later, we have to, and the supporters they're dying off. Every day there's a little more, and either they're old and leaving us of natural causes, or they're realizing what they've done and not admitting it.
You know what you don't hear anymore, I don't hear a lot of anymore, is from on the left or progressives, I think the notion that somehow we really need to understand these hardcore Trump voters. We need to get inside their minds and understand where they're coming from, and somehow, and I think we're well beyond that now, and I think people are, mostly, I know I am, to the stage of, no, I almost don't care. I don't want to say I don't care, but I don't care.
But I think we understand that.
But I think they need to be defeated.
I think
that's where I'm at. They need to be defeated. Whether they die of their own natural causes, whatever, I don't care. They just need to be overcome. They are an obstacle to be overcome.
But defeat or not defeated, we understand them already. It's very simple. Mm-hmm. It's a very simple thing. We understand how they work, and we understand that they're always going to be the victim.
Right.
Like these poor carrier people that got duped.
Well, but I'm saying it in the context of somehow we have to change our message. Somehow we have to ameliorate our approach, our values to incorporate that. I'm like, no, I'm done with all that.
No, we don't need
Fuck
them.
You and your values.
Their votes aren't needed, really.
I hope.
I mean, they aren't. They just. I
don't want them. Even if they were, I don't want them.
Well, they're not needed. What we do need to do is get all the like-minded people to start thinking right. So don't waste. We don't want to waste our time on people who are patently willing to look at racism and bigotry and say that's okay as long as I get mine.
Right. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm done with, and I don't want to hear anybody say that we've got to figure them out. No, we don't. Like you said, I'm in full agreement with you. We've already figured them out. And I think
poison the water supply like the Joker.
Look, it's okay to admit that you.
They're all their votes, though.
It's okay to admit that you made a mistake, and in fact, I think there's some nobility in standing up saying, I fucked up.
Like those people?
And acknowledging.
Come on in.
Absolutely. To acknowledge I made a mistake. All right? Look, Democrats, in 1968, Democrats stood up and said, I made a mistake voting for Lyndon Johnson. I mean, I made a mistake. This guy was a mistake. They forced Johnson out. And there were a lot of Democrats in 1980 who said, I made a mistake voting for Jimmy Carter. And I think that we need to have more, and we already know there's plenty of mainstream Republicans, but we need more Republicans to stand up and say it was a mistake to vote or support this president. I want to hear Jeff Flake. I want to hear people like John McCain. I want to hear people that are in office say those words and mean them. To say, I regret supporting this president. I regret it.
And that's not going to happen.
I know it's not, but it should. I know it's not, but it should.
Yeah, a lot of them really haven't even thrown their support with him, like 100%, like they would have a different candidate in a different era. But don't you think this is the big Hail Mary? I was talking with Colleen about this the other day. Is it like, can't you guys see, with all this racism, with all the world just angry and hateful, this is the Hail Mary pass of the Republican Party.
Yeah.
They have to make this narrative work right now to keep the power, to keep what they have going on, in order for them to ever have power again.
Just to survive, yeah.
If it ever got out that all of these ideas that they've been poking at and prodding and basically stealing from the people that they get their votes from, stealing their money, not giving them wages that go along with manufacturing production, not giving them, jobs here in America, taking them away. These are the people that are supplying the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, don't get me wrong, but supplying the politicians with the money to steal it from the middle class. And this is the Hail Mary. So all of the Republicans that you see, Isa, God, did you ever think Isa? He's a young man. Why is he leaving?
They're leaving.
Hatch. I thought that guy was going to be the next Strom Thurmond in there. He is the cheese.
It's easier than admitting you're wrong.
Right.
Quitting is easier.
And all of those statements by Graham, by McCain, those were public statements to see if there was any support in their own party. And when they found none, because all of these other guys are on board with the Hail Mary pass, with let's go with Trump, he's going to get it for us, he's going to get it. And by the time they all figure it out, it'll be too late. And we'll still just keep on lying to them at this point. They've done that play. That play is in place, and they are all jumping ship, the ones that don't want to get on board with that.
Being from Michigan and watching the Detroit Lions, have we thoroughly gone over what is a possession once that play is at its conclusion? What constitutes possession of the ball and control of the ball once the play is at its conclusion? Because as a Lions fan, we have been burned more times than not by weird possession rules.
Right. Even when there's video evidence to the contrary.
So hopefully our refs are descended from a shithole country and say, oh, that was a catch.
Yeah, I don't know.
And David's a message man. I think that you'd appreciate this tact on it. Is instead of calling someone a racist, give them a job next to a Hispanic, next to next to an African, an Indian, and give them a job where they have to live.
Let's ask that African or that Hispanic first.
Yeah,
they may have a different take on this.
But I think that's the
I'd
point.
I'd like to exploit you to change someone's mind, please.
I think that's the point that people will turn and say, oh, well, my economy.
I have no doubt that
the
that's
economy,
true.
GDP, doesn't mean
I
shit
doubt
for a
that's
guy
true.
in Kentucky.
No, I don't. There's no across the board thing. I'm sure that for some people, if they had an experience with somebody of a different color, background, whatever, that would help shape their their thinking. Perhaps, maybe, depends on where they're at in life and how open they are.
Well, probably, in my experience, in my grandfather working in Detroit on the bus lines, and my older members of my family, that exact scenario results in lots of hate. And he's doing more
maybe.
than, oh, that lazy guy, I got to work today.
Maybe we need some live fire at the factories. Just get set up the machine guns where everybody has to do Band of Brothers thing, and it's a wartime thing. I don't know.
Putting a camp together? Robert, just to clarify, you're putting a camp together.
Wait. Or are you going to a concert in Las Vegas? It's hard to tell the difference.
It's actually called Vidrosonville, and he's going to have all the people work there.
Right.
So I think for that to work, those workers, those people working together, have to be on an even plane. And their boss has to be a robot. Because can't be any bias.
Wow.
And soon their boss will be a robot.
Yeah.
So I read something. This is going to terrify people that actually realize what it means. This past Christmas season, people of China have purchased more than the people of the United States.
Yep.
That means the United States, our power comes from our buying power.
Yep.
And we were just eclipsed by the people of China.
Yep.
Which we used to call a shithole country.
You know what? I bet he still does. There was just no one in the room at that time.
Mm-hmm.
As he's eating his moo goo guy.
Well, actually Trump, I'm sure he thinks greatly of China because the Chinese are smart and they have completely played to his ego.
Yeah.
When he was in China last year,
played.
they rolled out the red carpet and they had everything. Just, lay it on the guy. And of course, he was thoroughly, this is a guy who during the campaign made it sound like he was going to, forget North Korea, he was going to go over with China when he took over the White House. And then almost immediately it's like, oh, China's our buddy.
Yeah, when he went over there, they actually shrunk Xi's hand for the handshake. They used magic to make it look like this massive Trump head came in.
I've been saying that for a while, the compliment ask, and Zinke actually came out with a quote on that. It was in his official. He made sure my official thing was that they asked nicely. Florida asked nicely, and California didn't.
Yeah.
If that's what bigger button. You got to ask nice. You got to come in hat in hand. You got to,
which is basic school time bully stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's kingdom shit. It's mafia shit.
It's serfdom.
Yeah. That's where we are, and you can't ever show someone that's where we are by calling them a racist. And that's my point. Is if you're ever going to get them to understand that they are in serfdom,
you're not going. No,
just don't call them a racist. Say, hey, I've got something over here. You want to work?
If they're a racist,
that's the job.
Why do I even want to talk to them and hire them anyway?
Well, because they are a population in our country. They live in Kentucky. They
you know what?
I don't know.
I don't care about them. I want to talk to their kids.
Okay.
Those are the ones that you have a chance at. Okay.
But you never.
They're gone. Their parents. They're gone. They're gone.
Never?
They're gone.
Well, haven't you ever had somebody? I like 7-Eleven right now. Has your spending at 7-Eleven gone up?
Since when?
Since Emily got her job.
No, because she gets free stuff.
Okay, well, your intake of 7-Eleven items, let's say that.
7-Eleven consumption.
Your 7-Eleven consumption.
Probably true.
Yeah, it's gone up. And that's my point about getting to their kids. Is in order to get to their kids, you have to give dad a job so he isn't going home every night and spewing that hate and that poison into his kids.
I hear what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I just don't think it's that. It just doesn't.
Well, and it doesn't have to be. It's just like I was saying last week. It's about the messaging of it. It's like, yes, I know. We all know. They knew. They knew he was a pedophile. They knew all of the same shit, all of the same stuff. They chose to believe the Hillary shit over the Trump shit.
Right.
And that is the world we live in. So you have to just carrot them. You can't smack them over the head and expect them to do anything but fight.
I think this is the flaw here is that we're ignoring precedent. So your carrot is supposed to combat 150 years of hand-me-down hate.
No.
And it can't. I don't think it can.
Well, but we've already gone through it in the 68, through those things.
It didn't work?
Nope. I don't know if we carroted, though. We basically enforced. And that was the problem. And instead of
so you're talking the segregation and
the segregation, and we basically went in and enforced rules on people, and we beat them over the head and said, you're going to do this instead of, hey, we got a job over here, you want to come?
That happened, and then it started to work. And then when it started to work, that Southern strategy started. Mm-hmm. So what they did was they took all the festering hate that was there from before, prior to integration. So like getting mad and angry and bombing churches and hating blacks was not new as segregation.
No.
So they tried everything they could, I guess, at that point. Then they integrated, but then the Southern strategy took that and mobilized it. It was disparate and all over the place. What they did was they actually mobilized it, so it gave structure to hate. And when it gave the structure to hate, that's when it became a hand-me-down. It became legacy at that point.
Right.
And that's really hard to combat. I mean, even here, we see it.
And I can point to our tycoons of the time basically doing that as an institution. This is where the jobs are. I'm the guy with the money. Plunk. You guys want a job? This is what it takes. We're still fighting the war down here. That's what we're doing. We're fighting the war. You want a job with us? We're still fighting the war. Instead of some other venue for them to.
But that's not all of it, though.
Yeah,
that's one piece of it.
Sure.
Their job wrapped up in it, but their home life was wrapped on it because it's coming down from hundreds of years.
And it's
they were still fighting
them.
that war. The guy, the boss, saying they're still fighting the war. Mm-hmm. He's not changing anyone's mind. Mm-hmm. They're still fighting the war too because their fathers were still fighting the war.
It's a union. It's a Boy Scout rally. It's a union meeting.
Yeah.
It's to rally the troops and keep that going. But my point is,
we're talking about Civil War, by the way.
Well, Civil War, and the Rockefellers and the Carnegies and the people who came down at that point to capitalize on the destruction of the war and to bring our country back in. And without them, many on the right would say, without them you would be nothing, and absolutely true.
But their messaging, no matter what they have thought personally, was to rally these guys down here.
Right.
So again, there's it's moral bankruptcy,
and not to change their mind though.
No.
They just use that. It's kind of like a Trump trick, just like he's doing now. He's just using what's already there.
Right. And I hate to even call it a trick from that guy. It's just a thing that he does, and he kind of stumbled on and said, "Other people are like this. Great."
I think he's very keen on knowing what things are actually going on in his supporters. I think he is very keen.
What they like and stuff?
Yeah, what they like and what
not in the world.
Yeah, not in the world.
His supporters,
but his supporters and what he can, he can
I think it's the only thing.
I think he's very keen.
I mean, other than himself, I think that's about it.
And
that benefits him directly.
Right. Do we want a little bit of salacious stuff?
Why not?
Sure. Just in from the Wall Street Journal, by the way. Trump lawyer arranged $130,000 payment for adult film star Silence. Lawyer for President Trump arranged a $130,000 payment to former adult film star Stormy Daniels a month before the 2016 election as part of an agreement that precluded her from publicly discussing an alleged sexual encounter with Mr. Trump.
And who did it? Who
Michael Cohen.
Yeah, who?
Yeah.
What? I've never heard of him.
Yeah.
What? Huh? No, I've never heard of him. I wouldn't be able to recognize him if I saw him on the
top attorney
street.
at the Trump Organization arranged the payment to the
And he's the fucking fixer.
Legal name is Stephanie Clifford.
He's our lawyer. He's a Jew.
By the way, did you know that they never could find the Jew in the Roy Moore campaign?
They did. So one guy said he was a Jew to get the job. It's like, I'm a Jew. I'll make him the lawyer. Yeah, it worked.
But can anyone imagine if any other presidency, not only Obama, but if this headline would have hit in Obama's or even Bush's, that a payment was made right before you were elected to a hooker, and they've got you dead to rights, and it's this guy that you claim that you've never met, and that it would have been World War III.
But this is
the
typical.
Russians would have invaded. They would have
here's typical Trump stuff. So after this deal was made to shut her up right before the election, after the agreement, Ms. Clifford's camp then complained the payment was not being made. They threatened to cancel the deal and go to People magazine. The money was then paid.
Yeah.
Okay,
he doesn't pay anyone.
I mean, this is Trump so much.
Yeah, and there's the good point. You should have told the carrier people. He doesn't pay anyone.
Look, He didn't pay the porn star. You think he's going to pay you?
And you know what?
Okay.
If she did what we think she did, she deserves the money.
Oh, my God.
Oh. It'd be like, this is just like, all right, dress up like Princess Leia. Now give me that chain. Feed me a frog. Yeah, that's what I like.
Get on the chain.
Monsters.
He is a monster.
And this is he's a millionaire. He must be good. That's what goes through people's mind.
absolutely.
And that's just so far from the truth.
So why isn't
If we-
Obama
he's
good
a
then?
monster.
See, but if
Why
we-
isn't Clinton good
Because he's
then?
well, okay. Obama's not good because he's black,
I bet he'd take a knee at 30 Obama.
and then Clinton's not good because, just because. And,
Just 'cause, Bitch Buster.
guy's a pot smoking hippie who didn't go to Vietnam. Well, Trump didn't go. Oh, it's different.
Heel spurs. He had heel spurs. They hurt.
But he was the best athlete.
Right.
Best athlete ever.
He was a good athlete.
He tiptoed.
He was. No,
Was.
He was. Sure.
Well,
That just makes the heel spur
Right.
thing bullshit, John.
Okay.
Just bullshit. Get me all excited.
that's a shithole disease.
Right.
Heel spurs.
Right. Well, yeah. So, what the fuck are we left with?
We're on the highway to hell.
Bunch of guys going crazy.
We are on the
about stupid
highway to
microphones.
hell. And it's freezing outside.
Winter's coming.
Oh, winter's here.
God.
Did anybody do any research on that? It was a new name, so I'm like, are they just making up this fucking name of the blizzard bomb or whatever?
No, that's the thing.
Yeah. It is a hurricane that starts in the winter. We have hurricanes that start in the winter now. Do you ever remember a hurricane starting in the middle of the winter?
I do not.
You know what's pissed? The Earth because of Trump.
Right.
Earth is pissed.
It's pissed because
It has
we
every
keep
reason.
pissing on it.
Like I said before, the Earth will be fine.
Oh,
When
yeah.
people talk about,
Yeah,
we're
what-
worried about the Earth. No, the Earth will be fine.
What you really worry about is
It just
you
says
were
exfoliate us.
Exactly. We are going. The Earth will be
We're the new
fine.
oil. We're the next lizard clan.
The great big cosmic 5-bladed razor is about to shave us off the face of the planet. And there's not even one of those smooth strips to cool it down afterwards. It's just gonna dry shave us off.
Dry shave us off and then throw some high karate on our face.
There's gonna be 7 of us living in the polar ice cap.
Only if we're lucky. All right. Well,
We won't have one of those anymore.
No,
It'll just be the pole.
I've already started building an ark. Don't worry about it. My ark's going to be like 2 million cubits, though.
Yeah, but yours is going to fall off the earth.
On the side. Oh, you guys see the video of the guy?
What?
The flat earther.
Did he do his
the
rocket?
balloon guy?
No, the lemon guy.
Oh, I haven't seen
There's a
that.
flat earther guy who has a lemon. He said if it's raining in Houston, and the rain collects and there's flooding, if the earth was round, there would be no flooding. It only floods because it's like a plate. So he took a lemon and he poured water over a lemon, and the water ran down the sides, and it says, "See, this is proof. This is
what we are dealing with.
This is exactly what we're dealing with. Proof that if the earth were round, the rain would just fall off the sides, and we wouldn't have flooding. And Australia's a hoax because it has to be for this to work.
Right. And what road are we on?
Subscribe to the No Cry Zone on iTunes and Stitcher and at abnormalentertainment.com/No Cry Zone. Find the No Cry Zone on Facebook and tweet at No Cry Zone. Email nocryzonepodcast@gmail.com. And for more podcasts, comics, books, movies, and more, head to abnormalentertainment.com.
You've been listening to the Abnormal Entertainment